The Civil Rights Movement speech. Martin Luther King was the 20th century's best-known advocate of the nonviolent social change. Born in Atlanta, Georgia, King's exceptional radical skills and personal courage first attracted national attention in 1955, when he and the other civil rights activists were arrested after leading a boycott of the Montgomery, Alabama transportation company, which required non-whites to surrender their seats to whites and stand or sit at the back of the bus. Over the following decade, King wrote, spoke, and organized nonviolent protests and mass demonstrations to draw attention to racial discrimination and to demand civil rights legislation to protect the rights of African Americans. In 1963, the Birmingham, Alabama King guided peaceful mass demonstrations that the white police force countered with police dogs and fire hoses, creating a controversy which generated newspapers, headlines throughout the world. Subsequent mass demonstrations in many communities culminated in March that attracted more than 250,000 protesters to Washington, D.C., where King delivered his famous I Have a Dream speech, in which he envisioned a world where people were no longer divided by race. So powerful was the movement he inspired, the Congress enacted the Civil Rights Act in 1964. The same year, King himself was honored with Nobel Peace Prize, posthumously awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. King is an icon of the Civil Rights Movement. His life with works symbolized the quest for equality and non-discrimination that lies at the heart of America and human dream. The Civil Rights Act was important, but did not address all kinds of racial discrimination. For example, Black Americans did not have the same voting rights as white Americans, especially in southern states. So March of 1965, a group of activists in Alabama marched in protest of the unequal voting practices. State police attacked the protesters. Some wanted to answer the violence, but King urged peaceful action instead. The events in Alabama pushed Congress past the Voting Rights Act. It was signed into law by President Lyndon Johnson in August 1965. In the following years, King worked for economic equality. In 1968, he was attended a workers' strike in Tennessee. While he was standing outside in his hotel room, a sniper shot him in the face. King soon died of his wounds. The shooter was identified as a criminal who had escaped from jail. James Earl Ray was a white man who said he hated King. Ray was found guilty and sent to prison. King is remembered for many things, including his focus on nonviolent actions to achieve social and political change. In 1986, the U.S. government observed the first Martin Luther King Day. Many Americans have the day off school and work. They are urged to use the time to volunteer in their communities. Martin Luther King's life and achievements are also honored at a memorial. It was dedicated in Washington, D.C. in 2011.